Situation is I end up sleeping in areas where other homeless people are sleeping, or not really an encampment, but on a rainy day or a rainy night, I'd have to go get under an overhang so I don't get rained on all night. I live in a sleeping bag with a backpack.
Los Angeles sells a dream. It sells it in bright colors, in palm trees, in sunsets, in movie posters, in luxury rooftops where the ocean looks like it was placed there just for the view. It sells the idea that if you work hard enough, you'll be fine. But here's the part the postcards never show you. When the sun drops behind the hills and the crowds thin out, another Los Angeles appears. A quieter Los Angeles, a harder Los Angeles. A Los Angeles built from tents tucked behind fences, from people sleeping in cars with the windows cracked, from families lining up before dawn hoping a door opens before the night gets cold again. And the most shocking thing is not that it exists. The most shocking thing is how close it is. 1 block from a luxury lobby, someone is trying to keep their shoes on while they sleep because they are afraid they will be stolen. 1 block from a celebrity restaurant, someone is deciding whether to spend their last dollars on food or a bus ride to a job interview. 1 block from a glowing billboard telling you to live your best life, someone is trying to survive a life they never planned to live. Stay with me. This episode is not graphic. We will not show or describe drug use. We will not glorify addiction. We will not shame people for being in crisis. We will talk about fentanyl only in an educational way, because it is part of the reality on the ground, and ignoring it does not save lives. This is Homeless US News, and tonight, we are going into Los Angeles, not to point fingers, not to chase shock, but to tell the truth about what is happening, why it is happening, and what it would take to change it. Part 1, to Los Angeles, the dream on top, the survival underneath. If you want to understand homelessness in Los Angeles, start with the contrast. This city has breathtaking wealth. It also has breathtaking instability. And those two things are not separate stories. They are connected. Los Angeles is a place where the cost of living can feel like a wall that keeps moving forward. Rent rises faster than paychecks. A working person can do everything right and still fall behind. And when the margin is already thin, one emergency can be enough to erase everything. A layoff that lasts longer than expected. A medical problem that turns into a bill that turns into a debt that turns into an eviction. A car breakdown and suddenly the commute becomes impossible. And then the job disappears. And then the rent becomes impossible. That is the staircase people slide down, step by step, and once they are down, climbing back up is not just hard. It is designed to be hard. Because homelessness is not only the absence of a roof, it is the collapse of a system of small supports. No address means it is harder to get hired. No stable sleep means it is harder to think clearly. No safe place to store documents means paperwork disappears. No shower means job interviews become humiliating. No phone charger means you miss calls from caseworkers. And if you have a record, or a disability, or trauma, or a mental health condition, the world becomes even narrower. Doors close faster. People judge quicker. Help becomes conditional. Los Angeles is also a city of displacement. Neighborhoods change. Rents jump. Longtime residents get pushed farther out. And once you are pushed out of a stable home, you are pushed into a daily survival economy where every decision is urgent. Where do I sleep tonight? Where do I use the bathroom? How do I stay safe? Who can I trust? And when a city has too many people trying to survive in public space, the pressure shows up everywhere. In parks, on sidewalks, under overpasses, on transit lines, in emergency rooms, in jails, in schools. The question is not why are they here? The deeper question is, why is the ground so easy to lose? Part 2, Skid Row, a pressure cooker made of policy, trauma, and time. Skid Row is not a rumor. It is not a symbol. It is a neighborhood where human beings live in conditions that would shock you if they were happening anywhere else. And here is what many people misunderstand. Skid Row is not simply people who chose the streets. Skid Row is a place where the consequences of decades of policy decisions pile up in one concentrated area. It is the collision point of unaffordable housing, undertreated mental illness, addiction, trauma, re-entry from incarceration, and a safety net that catches too late, if it catches at all. To walk through Skid Row is to feel the weight of exhaustion. Not just physical exhaustion, but nervous system exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion that comes from never fully relaxing. Because you cannot. Because you are always listening, always watching, always protecting your bag, always calculating risk. For people living there, the day is not divided into work and rest. The day is divided into safe enough and not safe. And the nights are worse. At night, the city sounds different. Sirens, yes, but also arguments, footsteps, a laugh that is too loud, a car door that slams, the subtle sounds people learn to fear when they have been harmed before. Skid Row is also where fentanyl becomes impossible to ignore. Not as a headline, not as an abstract crisis, but as something that turns suffering into sudden emergencies. A person who has been awake for days, a person whose body is dependent, and withdrawal feels like punishment. A person using to numb trauma, to quiet voices, to push down panic, to escape the cold reality of being unwanted. And fentanyl does not care who you are. It does not care if you used to have a job, or if you are someone's parent, or if you once had a plan. It is ruthless, and it moves fast through communities that have the least access to medical care and the least margin for error. Now at another layer people rarely talk about out loud. On the street, safety is not equal. Women face harassment at higher rates. LGBTQ+ people, especially trans people, are often targeted. Some people sleep during the day because night feels too dangerous. Some people form relationships not because they are in love, but because they need protection. Some people avoid shelters because they have been assaulted in crowded spaces before. Some people refuse help because the last time they trusted a system, it hurt them. This is what danger looks like in real life. Not Hollywood danger, not dramatic danger. The slow danger of exposure, stress, illness, violence, and being treated like you are disposable. And here's the truth that is hardest for the public to accept. Skid Row is not only a human crisis, it is also a mirror. It shows what happens when a city can build luxury towers faster than it can build dignity. Part 3. The working homeless when a paycheck still does not buy a home. Now let's talk about the people who break the stereotype. The working homeless. People who wake up early, who clock in, who serve food, clean rooms, stock shelves, care for patients, drive deliveries, guard buildings, and keep the city running. And then when the shift ends, they go back to a car, or a couch, or a motel room paid week to week, or a tent that has to be packed up before sunrise. In this part, we are going to use composite stories. That means no single person is being exposed. These stories are based on common patterns reported by outreach workers, educators, and service providers across Los Angeles. Meet Carlos. Carlos works. He is reliable. He shows up. He is the kind of worker managers say they wish they had more of. But rent went up. His roommate moved out. His car payment didn't stop just because the rent changed. He fell behind. The late fees stacked. The landlord filed. And suddenly, the word eviction became a stamp that followed him. He tried to find another place, but with an eviction on record, many doors closed immediately. So he started sleeping in his car. At first, it felt temporary. A few weeks, just until he saved. But temporary has a way of stretching. He showers at a gym when he can. He keeps his work uniform folded carefully. He parks in different places because he is afraid of getting ticketed or towed. He wakes up in the middle of the night when someone knocks on the window. He learns which lots are safer and which ones are trouble. He stops inviting friends over because there is nowhere to invite them to. And the worst part is not discomfort. The worst part is the constant tension of pretending you are fine while your life is breaking. Now meet Angela. Angela has a child. She works too. She is doing the math every day. Food, gas, phone, child care. Everything is a bill. She falls behind once, just once, and the system reacts like she has failed morally, not financially. She calls for help and gets put on a list. A list is not a bed. A list is not a home. A list is a promise that might come later, if you can survive long enough. So she moves from place to place. A family member for 2 weeks. A friend for 3 nights. A motel when she has enough. Her car when she does not. Her child learns to stay quiet. Her child learns not to ask questions. Her child learns how to read adults' stress the way other kids learn cartoons. This is what homelessness looks like when it is hidden. Not always tents in a row. Often, it is exhaustion in a school drop-off line. It is a worker falling asleep on a bus. It is someone brushing their teeth in a public restroom, hoping nobody notices. And when the public says, "Why don't they just get a job?" they are missing the truth. In Los Angeles, a job is not always a ladder out. Sometimes it is just a rope you hold onto while the storm gets worse. Part 4. Venice Beach and vehicle life when the car becomes the last room you own. If Skid Row is the visible epicenter, Venice Beach is the contradiction you cannot explain away. Because Venice is famous, it is sunlight, boardwalks, art, and tourism. And yet, it has long been a place where people living in vehicles cluster because the weather is mild, and the streets feel, at least at first, safer than other parts of the city. Vehicle homelessness is its own world. A car is not a home, but it becomes a home because it has one thing the street does not: a door, a lock, a small slice of privacy. But vehicle life is also fragile. You are always one broken engine away from total exposure. If the car does not start, you cannot move. If you cannot move, you get noticed. If you get noticed, you get ticketed. If you get towed, you lose everything in one afternoon. Vehicle dwellers learn routines that sound normal until you realize why they exist. They rotate parking spots to avoid complaints. They keep windows cracked so they do not suffocate. They hide blankets during the day so they do not look suspicious. They memorize which businesses might allow bathroom access. They track where shower trucks might be. They share tips quietly because knowledge is safety. Venice also exposes something else: how quickly compassion turns into conflict when public space becomes crowded. Residents feel overwhelmed. Businesses feel pressure. Tourists complain. And the city responds with enforcement, sweeps, and cleanup operations that often move people without moving the problem. Because you cannot sweep a housing shortage. You cannot tow your way out of a mental health crisis. You cannot police your way out of poverty. And yet, that is the cycle too many cities fall into. Move people along. Watch them return somewhere else. Call it progress. Repeat. Now add fentanyl to this environment, and the risk rises. Not because every person is using, but because fentanyl's presence in street economies increases medical emergencies, increases fear, and increases the sense that everything is spinning out of control. It also increases exploitation. When people are desperate, predators notice. When people are isolated, coercion becomes easier. When someone needs money for food, for a motel room, for survival, the street can push them toward choices they would never make in a stable life. That is the part that should make all of us stop and breathe. Not judgment, not gossip, a pause, because the line between stability and homelessness is thinner than most people want to believe. Part 5. The children you do not see. School as the last safe place. One of the hardest truths in Los Angeles is this: homelessness has a child's face. Thousands of students in this city do not have stable housing. They are in shelters, in motels, doubled up with relatives, or sleeping in vehicles. Many people never see them because they do not look like the stereotype. They are in your grocery store. They are in your child's classroom. They are wearing a hoodie and doing their best to appear normal. School becomes more than education. It becomes structure, a place with lights, a place with a schedule, a place where someone might notice if you are hurting, a place where you can eat. For some kids, school is the only reliable place in the week. But even school cannot fix what housing instability does to a child. When you do not sleep well, you cannot focus. When you move constantly, you lose friends. When you hide your living situation, You carry shame that was never yours to carry. Some students become chronically absent because transportation is chaos. Some struggle because there is no quiet place to study. Some become anxious because they are afraid their family will be separated. And here's another quiet crisis. Young people aging out of foster care. A teenager can turn 18 or 21 and suddenly support drops off. They become an adult on paper, but they are still a young person who needs guidance, stability, and a place to land. Without that, homelessness can rise fast. And for LGBTQ+ youth who are rejected at home, the risk is even higher. This is how a city creates generational homelessness. Not because children are choosing anything, but because adults build systems that leave kids behind. If you want to measure a society, do not measure it by its skyline. Measure it by how its children sleep at night. Part 6: What actually works: housing, treatment, and a system that does not give up. Now we need to talk about solutions. Not fantasies, not slogans. Real approaches that have evidence behind them. First, housing. Not just shelters that reset every morning, but real housing. Permanent supportive housing for people with disabilities and chronic conditions. Rapid rehousing for those who can stabilize with short-term help. Affordable units that are actually affordable for working people. Because the truth is simple. It is easier to treat someone's addiction when they have a door that locks. It is easier to stabilize mental health when someone can sleep without fear. It is easier to keep a job when you can shower and rest. Housing is not the reward at the end of recovery. For many people, housing is the foundation that makes recovery possible. Second, mental health care that reaches people where they are. Street outreach teams, clinicians who can respond without police as the default. Crisis services that do not require a person to be at their absolute worst before they qualify. Follow-up care that lasts longer than a week. Third, addiction treatment that is accessible and humane. Treatment that recognizes relapse as a part of many recovery journeys, not a reason to ban someone forever. Detox beds that exist in real numbers, not just in policy speeches. Medication-assisted treatment when appropriate. Counseling that is trauma-informed. And harm reduction that keeps people alive long enough to choose recovery. Because you cannot recover if you are not here. Fourth, prevention. This is the part that gets ignored because it is less visible. Rental assistance before eviction. Legal help when a landlord files. Medical debt support. Domestic violence resources. Support for families before they break apart. If you want to shrink homelessness, you can not only focus on people who are already outside, you must stop the flow of people becoming homeless in the first place. And yes, Los Angeles has programs trying to do these things. Outreach teams, interim housing, encampment resolutions, nonprofits feeding people every day, faith groups opening doors, volunteers showing up with socks, water, and human conversation. But here is the hardest truth. Good programs cannot outrun a housing shortage. Dedicated outreach workers cannot replace a missing mental health system. A single shelter bed cannot solve rent that keeps rising. So the question becomes bigger than what should they do. The question becomes, what should we build? What kind of city do we want? A city that spends more moving people around than moving people inside. A city that treats survival like a crime. A city that waits for tragedy to act. Or a city that decides, finally, that housing is not a luxury item for the lucky, but a baseline for human dignity. Outro. The question Los Angeles is asking all of US. Los Angeles is not alone. What you see here is happening across America in different forms. But Los Angeles is a loud signal, a warning, a test, because when tens of thousands of people are living without stable shelter, in one of the wealthiest regions on Earth, the story is not about individual failure. It is about what we tolerate and what we choose to fix. If you watched this and felt uncomfortable, hold on to that feeling. Do not turn it into disgust. Turn it into direction. Here is what action can look like. Support local organizations that do street outreach, shelter, legal aid, and permanent housing placement. Advocate for policies that create affordable housing and protect renters from sudden displacement. Show up at community meetings when shelters and supportive housing are proposed, and be the person who says, "Yes, build it. We need it." If you see someone outside, do not treat them like background scenery. A simple hello can restore a piece of dignity that the street tries to steal. And if you are struggling yourself, if you are one bill away from losing everything, know this: you are not alone, and needing help is not shameful. The system is complicated, life is heavy, but your life still matters. This is Homeless US News. If you want more reporting like this, share this video, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which neighborhood, which city, or which issue you want us to cover next. We will keep showing up, not to exploit pain, but to make sure the truth stays visible. Because homelessness is not a character flaw, it is a policy outcome. And if policy can create this, then people can change it. Not someday, now.